Hey everybody, we're back, and I am so fortunate to have my guest today. You know, I've been out for a while, so I'm a little slow today. I do that, but tell the audience they're interested in hearing what you want to share with us today.
Well, many of you probably may have seen my face on television. I'm David Martinez, and the producer, co-host, and creator of Youth Channel's The Spotlight. It's a youth channel program. It's like the youth format of The View, where you shed light on hot topics, among other things that affects the youth across society.
Yeah, absolutely, David, and I've seen it, and it's just wonderful, and it's going good. And I think you've been doing it for a couple of years now.
Yes, I have, since January 2017.
Okay.
We're actually in our third season now.
With this being 2019.
Yeah, 2019, yeah.
And you like it? It's incredible. I know that, you know, you and your group, because usually sometimes you have this round table kind of concept.
It's just like The View. But it's just you have youth at the table from the ages of 16 to 25 discussing the current events of what is happening in the world today, from like the guy in the White House to pop culture to the situation with R.E.A.L and Jussie Smollett that's happening, you know, a lot of those things.
What do you think about it? I mean, the R.E.L thing, here's what I know. I know that people can do, we have a good side and the bad side to us all the time.
I see a bad side of R.E.L. The way he, with his outbursts, I mean,
makes him seem guilty, right?
Yeah.
And that's incredibly, the fact is that why now, after all these years, they've been showing these things and saying these things and showing videos over a decade. And then, here's one thing to be friends, but what I saw was somebody that had two female friends. And of course, don't get me wrong, we could love plenty of people at one time. But what type of respect is that for a woman? You know what I mean? It's one thing to have a woman, and when you with her, you showcase her. It's another thing to try to take us back to where countries, there's still people that do that though, however, that have 2 or 3 or 4 concubines, and no man wants to see his daughter in that kind of situation. No woman wants to see her daughter in that type of situation.
Right.
And to publicly put that on the air, it's very distasteful.
Because this is the generation of the Me Too movement, where a lot of women are coming out saying that they were being sexually abused or sexually harassed or sexually molested, and they're bringing this up years later after, I don't know, like 20 to 25 to 30 years from year later or ago or so. It's like, they do have stories, but I just don't understand why they bringing it up years later today here. Because I know one person had mentioned to me about that if something affects you, that it's going to come and haunt you back years later, or who knows how much
done in the dark can come to the light.
Exactly, from like in the past.
Yeah, and these past things, but also the scale of human nature and human characteristics. We have to stop this kind of consideration for idolizing individuals. We have to, of course, give them their props for whatever it is that they do that's so fantastic. Musically inclined, he's genius.
Well, I'm not a fan of like rap music or hip hop. I usually just listen to like soul music, jazz.
But R.E.L.'s really not no rap music. I Believe I Can Fly, and a lot of like the, you know, dance hall things, dances that people would do at the wedding and stuff like that.
Right, but in this generation of music, it's like, it's not that really good in my opinion. Like, certain songs can be a hit and it can make you dance because it brings you back to like the good old days. But there's certain artists that are trying to do better, and I know they're working on it, but it's like, it's not easy.
Well, because it also has to deal with appeal. What do people want to hear? And some things grow on people, and some things people just don't like. And sometimes I can really listen to some rock and roll. I'm a jazz person all the time anyway, so I can always, you know. Then I also can relate to other music, Motown. I also can relate to the Latin music and the beat. I like certain things that are lively and spiritual. So as long as that. But the other side is to say things and not really mean things, and say things and then do your actions don't go along with what you're putting out there.
Actions speak louder than words.
Especially if you going to get yourself on a spiritual Lord Jesus tip and then be a predator of these type of things, or be even associated with that type of thing. Although you follow the law, not a person, because people are infallible, and it's just the way it is. It's our roots to try to be and put forth the goodness in us instead of the evil in us, because we are all two-part individuals of good and bad. Now, what are we going to put forth each day consistently?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I really like your show. I really like the idea that it gets into the current events. Of course, a lot of people are either, we have so many types of people. We have so many people that don't even, now that we have the thing, they don't even put the news on, so they don't even know what happened.
But what you should get out of it is knowledge of what is happening around the world.
The globe, exactly.
That's why I created the show, so that way, if they see what is happening around the world, they can have a say on what's happening and become more knowledgeable about it.
That's right. And it also increases at least the thoughts in their mind. I think for myself, that would encourage them to vote not just the big elections, but particularly for the part of world peace, so that everybody in the world can have an opportunity.
Yes.
And that we can, that way, I think that also counters out prejudgment on people and cultures and things like that. Because when you think about it, who in the world would come up with immigration as a negative? That would be something that you would welcome people, make sure that they get
It's been happening for years, like hundreds of years.
Yeah, and how come we haven't killed it? And if it's not outrageous to see children in cages, and talk, and 2019 talk about kids in cages, and talk about, well, did you fix that yet? Fix that like it's no problem at all. It's okay for them to be. We might as well say, well, we got to have a zoo.
And it started last year in 2018, and here it is 2019. We're still dealing with the issue here.
And
I don't know why.
Fixed it. Because the problem is, honestly, David, I believe that they just thought that they're going to throw these people in a cage. They took no information. They don't know where their parents are. They don't know what the child's name is.
Right.
They put them number 1, number 2, number 3, and etc. Like, well, we already know that this can occur. We already know that from our history of, and it's just outrage. The reason why I don't think that even everybody in the Congress and the Senate should have had exploded. That is definitely against the law. And why? Why wasn't anything done? It's just outrageous.
It's because the guy in the White House wants his way and only his way. If no one agrees with him, he's going to fire them people that don't want to work with him or stand by him. And that's how the world is here. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize that this controlling thing is something that's in all aspects of our daily routine of our lives, no matter where we are. This controlling, it's like a disease. You know what I mean? And sometimes the very, 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 very rich, because of the way and the patterns of how things been going, right, in our existence, you know, and you know, our building, that if you have all the money, then you own all the newspapers, then you own all the television area, then you own all the radio stations, then you own all of the things that people have to have as a matter of sources and resources. The water, the heat, the airplane lines, everything that they know people have to have, the food supplies, so drinking supplies, everything that we know we need, even when it comes to being brought into the world, going out of the world. All of these things they control. So it's very difficult even, you know. So now they're saying, finally, you know, something that should have been in our Constitution, education and free education from the jump, that was something that was taken away because of, well, you know why and I know why.
Mm-hmm.
But finally giving back here in New York, 2018, you know what I mean? All of these years. And then you got to wonder, now that they're saying that there's free education, what diabolical scheme is next? Is it robots to replace human beings? Is it that they got a system that, I know they say they want to go up to space.
Yeah, I don't want that in 2020 inside my body.
Yeah.
I mentioned this on the show.
Yeah.
Like what could happen.
Yeah.
Where we did like a episode on technology, and that was like our very first episode.
Yeah.
And my co-host Ebony Harper, formerly a co-host.
Okay.
She and I had discussed what could happen with the future of technology, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have a Plinko chip in my head, or they're going to make me into a robot, because I'm not ready to become a robot.
Right.
All right?
Even worse, never mind, get rid of us because of all of these things that we just discussed. If we have to drink the water, then if they poison all the water, wouldn't we all perish? If they put it in our food and we have to get the food, wouldn't we all perish?
Mm-hmm.
So they have so many things and schemes that we know that they will do if they hang us, if they make us stop breathing by putting us in the thing, if they put us in chambers to bake us. We've seen all these diabolical things.
Or it's almost like...
It's part of our history, and it's a big part of it.
Well, to add on, it's almost like you're referring back to like years ago when they were talking about the arsenic in like juice drinks, like apple juice, orange juice, saying that they spray the arsenic to keep the bugs away, and it's like bad for everyone, and that's why it's like those juice drinks are like from concentrate, and it's like
And then the things that they're talking about, they have their own protective cover. That's number one. Like with orange, you have to peel it.
Yeah.
So all of these things, well, they talk to the people, and sometimes because we're so accustomed to just us as a people and we the people, we never question when we could, because somebody could have said, well, why would we need that when the orange has its own peel? That's not necessary.
Right.
But because just like the same day, you and I go to the store and we could go and get the orange, and the one orange costs us 20 cents. We could go back next week and the orange is 40 cents. Nobody says anything, and then they'll say in 3 or 4 weeks, oh, it's a sale. You can get 10 oranges for so-and-so. You know what I mean?
But they better not charge an orange for $100,000, because I'd go crazy and be pissed off.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't get an orange if we had to pay that type of money. But those kind of things are coming because in the auto industry, you know that's something that they're about to.
Going up.
Yeah, and there's something that the old cars that the people are accustomed to getting, they don't want those cars out on the street anymore. Because, well, here's a good thing. The thing about it is, don't say something that you've already done all of these years. Now you already polluted all the air. But they're saying because of the environmental change, and they have things that they can put in the air and put in the ground that can purify and take away all the carbon monoxide and these type of things. Now here's the thing that really concerns me is that, like you said, the futuristic, and these things they already knew. But because at the time, to make billions and trillions of dollars is more important than confronting it, say 25, 30 years ago when there wasn't that many cars.
Right.
Which would also have lowered the level for cars, which would have meant that the cars that would not be polluting the air and they maybe be able to fly, they already knew about that. We knew about those type of things since the Jetsons.
They were like $8,000 or $7,000 or something.
Yeah. And now the new cars, these new things, they probably want to charge $300,000, all kind of ridiculous things, so that can lower the thing. And then I know in New York, their philosophy from what my aspect is that, okay, the way that we can get New Yorkers to stop getting cars is to charge them so much for parking and charge them so much when they go in the city from New York to the Bronx, from Bronx to the Queens, from Bronx to the Westchester, Bronx to the Long Island, to Staten Island. So people simply can't afford to go because while they putting all of these ridiculous prices on things, people's wages don't go up like that. So then they have no choice but to leave the car home.
Or if they do travel, if they have access to the Easy Pass, that's what they use.
Yep.
But other times, it's tough, and you're paying like $30 for like a toll to get from New York to New Jersey, or Pennsylvania to New York, or Washington D.C. to New York, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's just
crazy.
ridiculous. And that's not what transportation and the mobility of the idea of being able to allow people to be able to get to particular areas was all about. That's why it was important for that. It wasn't important for the poverty pimping. You know what I mean? And these small things that they're doing, you know, just everything is becoming a problem. Even in private settings and private people owning their condominiums and their things, people are telling them, well, now you got to pay for your washing machine to use it. You got to have a certain type. You can't have your type. Get rid of that. You got to have a certain air conditioner now. You know, and not only that, all of the public space that made your community so beautiful that you cherished and you've been in and a part of. Now we getting ready to build new places in that space. So now you don't have the opportunity to walk through the park, or there may not be a park, and you still going to have to pay more money. And now you're going to have so cluttered and you know, what can you see? You can't look out. You don't have a view. What can you see?
The only thing at times you could see is like, it varies depending on where you live, because it's like, I have family who lived in Brooklyn, like in the area of Brooklyn Heights. Okay. You get a nice view of the Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan, and I'll never forget the time whenever the 4th of July fireworks was always there.
Always beautiful.
It was always beautiful because I got the view from where my great aunt used to live back then.
I used to live right there in Clinton Hills too.
Rest in peace to my great aunt.
365 Clinton Hills apartment 1B. I lived at a few places in Brooklyn.
75 Henry Street near Clark Street.
I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Because I had a good friend that I used to practice with that used to live right there on Clark Street, right near the St. George.
Yes.
Right there.
The 3 train.
Yep. And for years, she used to travel abroad because she used to play the instruments, and a lot of times we would go and sit for a cat. Geronimo was the cat's name.
Right. And
then I lived not far from there anyway. I also had lived down on Livingston Street. And so I'm very familiar with Brooklyn. This was always my second home. You know what I mean? I actually lived there for quite a few years. You know what I mean? So I know all about it. Honestly, I like Brooklyn too. I really do, because it's now the area that I used to live in, that Clinton Hills, and that Livingston, they got all the malls now. It's just beautiful. They just have everything. It's just
along Fulton and Hoyt.
Yeah, it's just clean. It's just beautiful. It's lively. I know, of course, everywhere there's going to be some disturbances here and there, but Brooklyn is a nice spot. Queens is a nice spot too. You're in the right part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like Queens is.
But everything is too expensive.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Just like Manhattan is expensive.
Oh, Manhattan take the cake out of all of them. They take the cake.
I'm not sure about.
You don't get nothing in there.
I'm not too sure about the prices in the Bronx or everything, but.
Well, Bronx is getting expensive too. Bronx is not as expensive as Manhattan and Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not as expensive as Queens either. You know what I mean? But here's what we know. Because they never satisfied, and they're so greedy, David. that eventually is coming.
Mm.
You know.
Well,
I know.
We're already dealing with gentrification already in most of the.
Oh, they all seen it already.
Yeah.
Whether the income is high or low, they see that.
It's like you're getting more storage places, more condoms. Like, why can't they just put up more supermarkets or more of restaurants instead of storage places and condoms? I mean, I'm not against them putting like more houses. I know I'm not against that, but put up more restaurants or shopping malls or like supermarkets like ShopRite, for example, or those places.
Well, you're absolutely right. Listen, do you know in the last 2 years they closed in Manhattan 3 of the best tasting restaurants that exist, in my opinion?
I know
down near 23rd Street, 2 of them.
Well, I know one of them you're talking about is Olive Garden. They just recently closed down.
Yeah.
But
not the Pathmarks too. They shut them down.
Yeah.
Nobody gives you the quality
and the Pathmark just became now a subsidiary of Stop and Shop, where Stop and Shop is now taking over.
But the Stop and Shop is expensive. Pathmark, you could really get a lot of things. Whatever gives a lot of things, they close down. Rite Aid is the cheapest out of, say, Drain Reed and CVS. And they closed down the ones where people can afford and get the same thing for $3 or $4 less. But $3 or $4 less is.
Well, there was a restaurant in Times Square, and it was like across the street from where Toys R Us used to be. It was called Howard Johnson's. That was the best.
I used to love wrestling, and Andre the Giant. This back in the day when I used to go to the club down there that was right near there. And that Howard Johnson, Andre the Giant, I used to see him there all the time, and a whole lot of the different wrestlers, some of them that, they done passed on. But that was, in my opinion, a historical spot. A lot of the historical restaurants and places and home-based restaurants, it's like they don't want that anymore. They want McDonald's and Burger King and things of that nature in every spot. They don't want you to eat healthy or have a healthy food.
Or they put like they put like a pizza place, Dunkin' Donuts, or Starbucks, or Popeyes, or Checkers.
And don't get me wrong, the idea and the concept of coffee, though I don't drink this stuff, is something that we share. But they put up the Starbucks so much, and the coffee is so incredibly expensive that our parents, our grandparents wouldn't believe it.
I question myself, why do they make Starbucks coffee so expensive than Dunkin' Donuts? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
You can't even afford it. Like, how could many of the folks that work or that are like in the middle class or lower class afford to get Starbucks? I don't know what the statistics are, but they
make a lot of money.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is, I think, from my own general vision of what goes on, is a lot of the college students and students at large go there because they can hook up their computer.
Right.
They can hook up their cell phone, and they can.
Or their tablet or iPad.
Yeah, and because they have the Wi-Fi and so forth, they can get a lot of things that they would normally have to pay for, but in there now they can get that for free.
Exactly.
So they don't mind spending the $4 or $5 to stay in there until they get their work done and grab all of the information that they need. You know what I mean? When they get out of there and they go into class, or when they go home to study later, they got all of that information instilled in their computer. So, as opposed to spending, like, say, and this is another terrible thing, the expense of the Spectrum or the Verizon and all of this stuff, when they can go right in the Starbucks and sit down.
I wonder why they made Time Warner Cable rebranded this name to Spectrum. I'm not against the name Spectrum. I mean, it's like, I'm used to Time Warner Cable as the name.
Yep, me too. But this is a way that people that, David, You are so deep and you have so many great topics to talk about. Our time is up, but you know what? I promise you that you have to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to it because a lot of times, if it wasn't for somebody like you and your show, a lot of people would be fooled by all of this crap, bull crap that goes on in our world.
Yeah.
And not just here, everywhere. So you know how honored I am, David, that you're here, Mr. Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a treasure. You are a treasure. And knowledge and education is so powerful. It is so powerful. So I am very grateful, that you do what you do, because people need to learn.
I do feel grateful of creating this show because
the
two people that inspired me in creating this show was Whoopi Goldberg is one of them, and a little bit was three people. I know Bob Barker is like a game show host. He's still alive to this day. But Barbara Walters was one of the original creators of The View.
Yes.
And that's another one of where I got the inspirational idea coming from into creating the spotlight.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back. Promise you, part 2. But our message is love. Please love. Thank you. B.E.A.T